Before I go into the detail, reminding you the 9 motivations to work, we all have all 9, making sure that we are concentrating on our top 3 motivators, and that's what a motivational map does, puts them in order for us. This is how it does it. There's an example there from top, the most important motivator to this person being spirit, least important expert, and all the things in between. So that's just a brief overview of an individual map result. What I want to do today is dive into a team map. So this is all the data that comes back when we compile all those individual maps into a team map. There is 10 maps here. They're all B2B members, but as you can see, you couldn't tell who's who. So I want to just go through how this works and how I use this with a client, so that you've got an insight into how that works. So first of all, things to say is this is about how we feel about our work and not about our ability. This is nothing about the ability to do anything. It's about what we want to do and how we want to feel about it. All map profiles are good, so there's no bad one. Motivators will change over time, so we've got to track this and make sure that our motivations individually and on a team basis are tracked, so that we keep on top of them and keep making sure that we're fulfilling them. And very much importantly, with regards to why I use them, is they're not stereotypical. So we don't put a label on someone. We don't say you're now that, because they're moving, motivation is changing all the time. We've got to make sure that we are actually just focusing on the things that are driving us and the way that we want those things to feel, and making sure that those things are being fulfilled in our work. So that's a brief overview. So just let me go through what I would do with this data. The first thing I would look at is this score here. I can change the color so you can see it. First score, 75%. So that's the overall motivational score for this team. So let's call that the average score. So we now know what's sort of benchmark. So that's actually a good score. There's a little bit of improvement there. We want to get that score at least over 80. So there's some work we can do on that basis. So where do we start? Well, the first thing to do is look at the individuals that have less than that 75%. So we have one here, one here, one here, one here, and one here. So those 5 have below average motivations for this team. So that would be the first place to start. So how can we increase the motivation for those 5 individuals? And the way we would do that is look at these scores here. So I'll go for the bottom one here. So this person's top motivator is only being met 4 out of 10. That's how they feel it's being met. And that motivator is this one, which is the spirit motivator, because it's the red corresponds with the red. So this person isn't really feeling that they have freedom from their business. It doesn't give them the freedom and autonomy that they want. So there's some action they can take. One of the things I would suggest is something like a stop-start review. What can you stop doing that would free up your time, that sort of thing. So that's one way we go through individually to make sure that we're getting individuals up, their motivations up, and that will bring the average of the motivations for the team up. And ultimately, if we are motivated, we are likely to be performing better. Bear in mind also that skills have an influence as well. It's not just about motivation. We've got to make sure we have the skills to do what we want to do too. So the next thing we will look at the top 3 motivators for this team, and we'll think about what this team is trying to do. Now, this is a team which is fictitious, I suppose you could say. We don't actually work together, do we? But in some ways we do, because we sort of want to be able to refer each other. So we think about what's the remit of this team, and we would look at what is this team trying to do, and are the motivations, the most important motivators, are they being met by the remit? And ultimately, is the outcome that they're working towards likely to be achieved by their motivators? Most importantly, because ultimately that's the thing we want to do, is actually achieve something. So we would look at, is this, are the searcher motivators about making a difference? So is this team focused on the difference they make? Are they feeling it? They're also high spirits, so they want to have freedom, autonomy. That's an interesting one when you're trying to create a team, when everyone wants to be independent and autonomous, isn't it? And then the next one is the expert motivator. That's about knowledge, being specialists in what we do, which sort of fits. We all want to be a specialist, don't we, in something. So we look at that, which is obviously an important thing, and marrying it up with the remit of the team, what they're trying to achieve. Also, what we do is also look at how each of the top 3 motivation, how many have it. So in this case, there's 10 people in this team. 8 have searcher in their top 3. Okay, that's why searcher is so important. When you're leading a team, learn how to give good quality feedback would be the number one thing I would suggest you do. But we've got to remember here, there is 2 people that don't have it in their top 3. So what implications does that have? So we have to think about that. And also, what's interesting is this person here has none of the top 3 motivators for the team in their top 3. So how are they feeling about the team? How is that actually, and this is no good or bad about it. This person might just need to know, actually, that's just really good to know. So I can actually do something about that. This is very much a knowledge share, but actually it just makes people feel I'm okay to be who I am. I just fit into this team. So that's an interesting thing that I picked out for this team. And obviously there's loads of things that we can pick out. One of the things that we look at is, if you look here, there's quite a lot of blue in that ring. The blue indicates the lowest motivator for the individual. So the individual has, if the person has the lowest motivator, got to think about the implications of working with somebody that has that as their highest motivator. So where you can see, like here, lowest and highest, those 2 people, if they're working closer together, they might be completely talking a different language about their work. So that might be a potential conflict. So that's the sort of thing that we can also look at when we're looking at the team. There's another one there. Director is, there's only one person that wants to be in charge of this team. And one person particularly doesn't want to be, and would probably run a mile if they was given the opportunity to lead the team. But one thing about this team, which is interesting, is that there is for every motivator, there is someone that has it in their top 3. So you could say that this team is really quite balanced in that there's a good spread of motivations. As long as those people are in the right roles, we can really harness those motivations to make sure that each important step in the process of running a team and getting the outcome that we're looking to is taken care of. You'll see the lowest motivator of this team is star, but nobody has it as their lowest. But there's only one person that really wants to be the person that's promoting doing the marketing for this team, let's say. So that's the sort of role that would fit in. And I noticed that Nigel's not in here, but obviously the change thing is important here. How change friendly a team is. So this figure here, you can't see it, but that's 74 there, gives an indication how change friendly this team is. What we know in business is that change is almost inevitable. So the higher that number, the more receptive they are to change. So when you're leading the team, you know that you don't have to try too hard. If that number was quite low, and particularly under 50, that would mean essentially that you had a lot of sort of defenders in the team. That's not to say that those people are negative. They're not. Every team needs defenders in there, because what they're doing is they're defending the status quo. Do we have to change? Are we having change for change's sake? And I've worked with lots of teams that are high searchers, high creators. They love change. Changing each time you meet with them, there's more things on the table, new things to take into account. And so those people that are high defenders in a team will actually keep some order and make sure things actually come to fruition and get done. So I'm aware of the time because it's ticking down on my clock. So I put it there just to remind me, not for any other reason. So I will leave it there, and I will continue this tomorrow morning.